Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How would you like to do a Bible study tonight?
I'm gonna do my study night.
I'm here with a nice cup of warm, hot chocolate.
Oh boy.
Sherm's back there doing something. I'm not sure what.
Mukbang.
No, you are not. You took one of my books and you're back there.
I'm mukbanging.
You can't do a mukbang with a book.
I don't know how to do.
He doesn't understand what a mukbang is.
I don't know how to do.
So tonight the Bible study is going to be in the book of Matthew. Very, very good Bible study tonight. Love the book of Matthew. Love what the verse is going to be about tonight. The verse I'm going to read to you tonight is Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. Chapter 18 is a great chapter to do a Bible study on. And verse 3 is a great verse. And it says, "And Jesus said, 'Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven.'" And that is so true, because you got to be like little children to enter the kingdom of heaven, because children are innocent and pure, because children only know love. Children love everybody. They don't know hate. Children are innocent. They have innocent hearts. They don't hate anyone. All children know is love. So let's go ahead and read all of chapter 18 of Matthew. And then we'll read the devotion that goes along with it. And then I should have another circle of kindness to read as well. I'll have to get it out of my folder. The greatness in the kingdom of heaven. At that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child and had him stand among them. And he said, "I tell you the truth, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes a little child like this in my name welcomes me. But if anyone causes one of these little ones who believes in me to sin, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to sin. Such things must come, but woe to the man through who they come. If your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. See that you do not look down on one of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep, and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hill and go to look for the one that wanders off? And if he finds it, I tell you the truth, he is happier about the 1 sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. If your brother sins against you, go and show him his fault, just between the 2 of you. If he listens to you, you have won your brother over. But if he will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church, and if the church refuses to listen, Even to the church, treat him as you would a pagan or a tax collector. I tell you the truth, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, I tell you, if two of you on earth agree upon anything you ask for, it will be done for you by your Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 come together in my name, there I am with them. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother when he sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants, and he began to settlement a man who owed him 10,000 talents. He brought to him, since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. The servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged. I will pay back everything. I will pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. But when the servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell on his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay you back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were greatly distressed and went and told their master everything that had happened. When the master called the servant in, you wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you? In anger, his master turned him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all that he had owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother from your heart. Now about divorce. When Jesus had finished saying these things, he left Galilee. Oh, sorry, that's going into chapter 19. I was going to keep on reading. We won't get into divorce then. That was chapter 19, sorry. And that was the end of chapter 18. So you guys are lucky we won't talk about divorce tonight. So that was the end of that. So we will go to the devotion now. Let's go to the devotion. I could just keep on reading. You know how that is. I love that part about the servant and the master. How he lets him go and then the servant doesn't let his servant go. I always love that part. As my family and... Oh, this is by Heidi Gall, by the way. She writes a lot of these. As my family and I were driving along the interstate, I glanced down just as 2 dashboard lights came on. My stomach tightened, sinking like a stone. I pulled off the freeway to park under a shade tree. With no buildings in sight, we'd broken down in the middle of nowhere. I felt as helpless and as lone as a lost child. 90-degree air wafted through the open window as we each searched for our own solutions. My daughter called a mechanic to seek advice. My son-in-law surfed the internet searching out repair videos. My husband David pored over the car's manual. I stayed quiet, waiting, but none of us considered the obvious solution, calling for help. 15 minutes later, the car remained disabled. The situation was beyond our control. I poured out our automobile club card and dialed the number. The relief we felt when we saw the tow truck was as strong as a lost toddler upon first spotting a parent, as strong as when we reach for Jesus in faith. All believers face challenges we approach in different ways, according to our nature and skill sets. Some problems are easy to tackle, In other instances, we cry out in need for Jesus, as dependent as babies. But without his help, we can't solve anything. So true. When we come to him as children, he lifts us from the muck and myrrh and fills our lives and cleans up the mess. He repairs the things we've broken. We need only hang to our faith like a child. So true. Jesus is always there, isn't he? Always takes care of everything, and we're so glad he is. We're always so lucky to have somebody who is there. What if we didn't? Think about that. What if we didn't? I wouldn't want to think about that, would you? There wouldn't be no point of even living if we didn't. What would be the point of us even being here if we didn't, right? I mean, what would be the point of us even living, even being here if we didn't? There would be no point of nothing. There would be no point of anything. If Jesus didn't exist, if Jesus wasn't here, there'd be no point. But Jesus is here. Let's see this faith step thing, what they want us to do tonight. Think back on how you felt as a child. Wrapped up safely in a loved one's embrace. Close your eyes and climb onto Jesus' lap and tell him your problems. He's listening and he knows the solution. Even now, as an adult, pretend you're a child and tell him your problems now. Because we have so many now as an adults. More so than we did as a child. So many more. When we were kids, we wanted to be adults so bad, right? And now that we're adults, we're like, oh my, we didn't know it was going to be like this. We thought it was going to be fun. We'd be able to do what we wanted. We didn't know it was going to be bills and all this stuff. Fun. All right, guys. Well, let's see here. Our next Bible study will be in Matthew as well. It will be in Matthew 15. Matthew 15. Talking about the clean and unclean. So we'll just be back a couple chapters here. So not too far back. So Matthew is a good book. I love reading the book of Matthew. So we'll be in the book of Matthew again in our next Bible study. So another great reading will be coming up. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Bible reading. And I hope you guys have a great night's sleep tonight. Bye, guys.